this lesson, you're going to build your vocabulary with useful phrases and expressions to help you communicate your ideas at a more advanced level. And we're going to do this in a very fun and engaging way by reading a story in English. Welcome back to J4S English. I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. First, I'll read the headline, Fred the Pig Caught After Mischief Rampage. So in this picture, it looks like this is Fred the Pig. And he was caught after mischief rampage. First, I want you to notice my pronunciation here. Mischief. Mischief. So here, you don't hear this E sound because we do have a word that you may be familiar with, which is chief. Same spelling at this end, but this here is a long E sound, chief. But here, you don't hear that long E. And it's just like if you were saying if, mischief. So notice that pronunciation. And what exactly is mischief? Mischief essentially means bad behavior. We use this a lot with children, of course. The children got into mischief while I was working. Now, let's talk about rampage. What is this? This is when you go through an area and you do that making a lot of noise and causing damage. So this pig went through an area, and as he was going around, he was either making noise or causing damage or doing both of those at the same time. That would describe a rampage, a mischief rampage. Now notice the sentence structure. Fred the pig caught after mischief rampage. Now, what do you notice about this part of the sentence? Is this an active sentence or a passive sentence? It might be difficult for you to identify this because in headlines of newspaper articles or short stories, they often omit certain words that are only there grammatically. So in this case, to identify the passive, you would normally see the verb to be because that's the correct grammatical structure. Now, correct grammar would be Fred the pig was caught after mischief rampage. But native speakers understand the sentence structure without the auxiliary verb, and headlines and short story titles always try to be as short as possible, and they do that by omitting these words that are there for grammar but not essential to understand the meaning. But the sentence structure, if you were writing this in any other context, you would need was caught, the past simple of the verb to be. Now that's our passive sentence. If you wanted to turn this into an active sentence, what could you say? Think about that. Fred the pig was caught. Well, we don't know who caught Fred the pig, but we could just say people, because I don't know who the subject is. People, or maybe officials, caught Fred the pig. Now this is our active sentence because the subject is doing the action, where in this case, Fred the pig is receiving the action. So this is our active sentence and this is our passive sentence. I wrote that there for you, and don't worry about writing all these notes down because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF, so you can look in the description for the link. Now let's continue and learn about Fred's mischief rampage. After numerous complaints, numerous is another way of saying many. After numerous complaints, after many complaints. And a complaint is when you say something negative. So if you went to a restaurant and you didn't like the food, and then you told the server, the waiter, this isn't very good, you are making a complaint. making a complaint. So that's the verb that goes with the noun complaint. I made a complaint about the food. Now, complain is the verb form, and this, a complaint, that's a noun. As a noun, notice it has an article. In our sentence here, after numerous complaints, there's no article because you don't use an article when it's a plural noun. But if you were to use the verb form, I complained about the food. So when you dislike something or you have a negative experience and you make that known to someone, you are making a complaint or you are complaining, the noun form or the verb form. After numerous complaints of mischief, we know what this means, and the pronunciation. Remember, mischief is simply bad behavior. Mischief. In the city of Aurora, a 400-pound. LB, this is the short form to identify pound. A 400-pound culprit. Well, what or who is a culprit? Well, Fred the pig is the culprit. And a culprit is someone, or in this case, something, a pig, who has done something wrong. A 400-pound culprit, Fred the pig, has finally been caught loitering outside a shopping center. Now, in this case, it is still the passive voice because the culprit, who is Fred the pig, is receiving the action. And the story isn't focusing on who caught Fred the pig, which is why we don't even know who caught Fred the pig. And that's why I had to just write people or officials, because that's not the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is learning about how Fred the pig was caught. A 400-pound culprit has finally been caught loitering outside a shopping center. Let's talk about this verb to loiter. Loiter is the verb. Notice that pronunciation. Loiter, loiter. Now, when you loiter, you stay in a public place. This could be a mall, a restaurant, a school, without an obvious reason to be there. Well, what's the obvious reason to be at a mall? To purchase something. But oftentimes, younger people and maybe older people as well will go to the mall as a form of an activity, but they have no intention of buying something. They don't even have any money, but they're in the mall and they're just staying there. So they're taking up space, maybe they're making noise, disturbing people, and they're not actually customers because they are not buying anything. So in that case, those people are loitering. And a lot of public places like malls, schools will have a sign that says no loitering, which is telling you, unless you're here to buy something, I don't want you here and you shouldn't be here, which makes sense because you shouldn't go to a location unless you plan to buy something, right? From the mall's perspective. Personally, I also go to the mall sometimes with friends without the intent of buying something. So in that case, I am loitering. But this pig, Fred the pig, has finally been caught loitering outside a shopping center. So this looks like perhaps it's the shopping center. And obviously he has no reason to be there. So he's loitering. Fred the pig was loitering. All right, let's continue. Officials say Fred, who dodged them for several days. Let's talk about the verb dodge. This is a great verb to have in your vocabulary. When you dodge, when you dodge something or someone, you avoid. You avoid that something. I'll add or someone because it's very common to dodge someone. And why do you avoid that something or someone? Usually because if you get that something or that someone, it will be unpleasant in some way. So Fred, the pig, dodged them. So in this case, it's officials, the officials who were trying to catch him. Fred the pig dodged officials, avoided officials. Why? Because if the officials caught him, he would be in danger potentially. Of course, that's what the pig would think. Now, this is a very common word that you can use in your speech. For example, I've been dodging my boss's phone calls. So this is the exact same thing as saying I've been avoiding my boss's phone calls. So my phone rings, I look at it, it's my boss, and I press silence or decline, or I just let it ring. That's how I dodge my boss's phone calls. Why would I do that? Because if I talk to my boss, something unpleasant is going to happen. Maybe I did a bad job with the report and I know my boss is mad about the report. So if I pick up that call, he's just going to say, Jennifer, why did you do that report like that? And it's going to be unpleasant for me. So obviously I want to avoid that. I want to dodge that. Officials say Fred, who dodged them for several days, is always hungry and loves his belly scratches. So this is scratch and then his belly. I don't know if you have any pets. Do you have any pets? So notice that's how you would ask that. Do you have any pets? I'll write this for you. Do you have any pets? A very common question to ask. And to answer, you can say, I have, and then whatever your pets are. I have 2 cats, a dog, a bird, and a 400-pound pig, for example. Or you can simply say, no, I don't. Or you might talk about a pet you had in the past. I had a dog, but now I don't have any pets. Technically, you don't even need to say this, because if you said, I had a dog, because this verb is in the past, I know now you don't, but I'm just showing you if you wanted to expand on your answer. So share your answer to this question in the comments below. Do you have any pets? And this is true for me. I have 2 cats. I have 2 cats. What about you? What about you? Share that in the comments below. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, the movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. It took about 8 people and 5 hours to capture him. Capture is another way of saying catch, capture, catch, and you can use capture specifically with animals. They now hope to find his forever home, So in this case, forever is being used as an adjective to describe the type of home. And you see this a lot now when animal shelters are trying to find homes for their animals. They might have these really adorable pictures of a cat or a puppy or a pig, apparently, and say, Fred is looking for his forever home, which means that they want someone to adopt Fred permanently. Notice how adopt is used with animals. You're probably familiar with the verb adopt for children. You can adopt a child if you're unable to have children of your own, or simply because you want to. You can adopt a child, but you can also adopt a pet. And obviously, when you adopt a child, it's a permanent situation. So that's why they're using this verb as well, because they want you to know that when you take this dog home with you, that's a permanent situation. That dog now has his forever home. Let's continue. City officials first became aware of Fred on September 24th, when they received a call about a pig that was tearing up a person's yard. All right, let's talk about the phrasal verb to tear up. In this context, tear up means cause damage to, because they're talking about a person's yard. A yard is the area in front of one's house or behind one's house where there's grass, trees, flowers. That's your yard. You can have your front yard or your backyard, or you can simply say yard. So yard, grass, flowers, trees, bushes. And then if he was tearing it up, maybe he was digging a hole, he was eating the flowers, so he was causing damage to that person's yard. Now, tear up can also be used with a piece of paper. Right now, I'm tearing up this piece of paper. I'm taking a whole piece of paper and it's going into smaller pieces. So that's to tear up in the sense of a piece of paper. Now look at this sentence and notice my pronunciation. First, notice it's the exact same spelling as we just saw here for tear up a person's yard or tear up a piece of paper. But listen to the pronunciation. I teared up. Ear. So I wrote it out phonetically for you. Ear. So that long E sound. I teared up when I watched the sad movie. I teared up. Oh, so when you tear up, you get tears in your eyes. I teared up when I watched the sad movie. I always tear up when I watch sad movies. You don't want to watch a sad movie with me because I always tear up. Okay, so notice that. Exact same phrasal verb, but different pronunciation and different meanings. But the context will make it obvious. It's not possible that tears were produced in this person's yard. So it doesn't make sense that this would be tear up. So it's always the context that will make it obvious. So a pig that was tearing up, causing damage to a person's yard, the area in front of their house or behind their house with grass, trees, flowers, bushes, shrubs, a fence. But when animal officers arrived on the scene, they were not able to find him. More calls came in the next day. Notice you need the for next day, the next day. Sometimes I see students forget the and they just say next day. More calls came in the next day, this time about a pig in traffic. So traffic, of course, with all the cars on the road in traffic. Then another call about a pig that was ruining someone's landscaping. Landscaping is what you do to a yard to make it beautiful. So landscaping is when you add flowers, a garden, trees in specific areas, some decorative rocks, and other decor to make your yard beautiful. That is called landscaping. Now this pig, Fred the pig, Fred the pig, he was ruining, to ruin. Ruin is also when you cause damage to, but if you describe something as ruined, it means that the damage was permanent and you can't save it. So it's no longer useful. So permanent damage to something. So tear up to me sounds less severe. The amount of damage is about here, but ruin the amount of damage is here. So to cause permanent damage to something, I'll write that for you. Let's continue. He was then spotted again. When you spot something or someone, it means you identify them. You identify them by seeing that person or that something visibly. So let's say you're at a conference and there are many, many people, but then all of a sudden you spot your colleague. Oh, I spotted Joan, my colleague Joan. I spotted Joan. So you were able to identify Joan in this large area of many other people. Here's another example with spot. Can you spot the mistake in this report? So again, can you identify the mistake? Can you see it? Can you notice it? But the important part is, and I wrote it here for you, it's because you're trying to. So I was trying to identify Joan in the crowd. I was trying to spot Joan. And you're reading a report carefully because you're trying to identify, to spot the mistake. So you're trying to do this. It's not just things you see because they're around you. You have to be trying to identify it, to use spot. He was then spotted again 3 days later on September 27th. So this makes sense because they're trying to see, notice, identify Fred the pig in the early morning hours. This time, Fred was in a position where he could be captured. Captured, again, remember, we can use caught, which this article has used quite a lot as well. Where he could be captured, caught, Miss Allen said. Still, it was no easy task. Notice the sentence structure here, because to make this negative, generally we don't just add no before something in English. Generally, you need an auxiliary verb. Still, it wasn't an easy task. This is the standard way to make something negative. Was not an easy task. And then the contraction of was not, which native speakers very commonly use, is wasn't. It wasn't an easy task. This, to say it was no easy task, this is an alternative structure that we use mainly to emphasize the negative. So I want to make it sound stronger. If I just say, oh, it wasn't an easy task, it was no easy task. It's more forceful to emphasize that no, it wasn't an easy task. It was no easy task. So you could say, maybe, learning English was no easy task until I found Jennifer's videos. Learning English was no easy task until I found Jennifer's videos. And now hopefully it is an easy task. Was no easy task. Was not an easy thing to do. So feel free to put this in the comments if you agree that now it's easier because you have my lessons to help you. And by putting this in the comments, you're practicing this alternative sentence structure. So put that in the comments. Learning English was no easy task until I found Jennifer's videos. All right, let's continue. He just wasn't ready to give up his holiday of running around the city and eating what he wanted to eat, she said. So, of course, the he is Fred the pig. And this is talking about the fact how he didn't want to be captured, caught, and it was no easy task. Well, and remember before, the pig, Fred the pig, was dodging them, which made it no easy task to capture him. Dodge is avoid. Now, why? Because he wasn't ready to give up his holiday. This is a useful phrasal verb to give something up. In this case, the something is his holiday. And when you give something up, you simply stop doing it. You stop doing the something, or you stop using the something. So a lot of people use this when they quit smoking. Oh, I need to give up smoking. I need to stop smoking. Stop doing the activity or using the activity. So in this case, stop his holiday. He wasn't ready to give up his holiday of running around the city and eating what he wanted to eat, she said. Of course he wasn't ready to give it up. After he was captured, staff affectionately gave him the name Fred. So when you do something affectionately, you do it with love, friendliness, admiration. And affectionately, this is an adverb, and it modifies the verb gave him the name. Because at the beginning, the story sounded like, oh, this pig is causing damage. This pig is ruining yards. This pig is loitering. So these negative things about the pig. But the staff feel affection towards the pig. So they affectionately gave him the name Fred to show that they're not mad at the pig. They feel friendliness or love towards the pig. So the staff affectionately gave him the name Fred. And he has been staying at the Aurora Animal Shelter ever since. So because this is in the present perfect continuous verb tense, I know the pig is still there now. Fred the pig is still at the Aurora Animal Shelter now. Miss Allen said he is an unusual addition to the animal shelter. This is an area where they care for abandoned pets or pets without homes. They call that a shelter. To the shelter, which more commonly houses cats and dogs. Of course, they don't get many pigs at animal shelters in cities, of course. Staff are not sure how he ended up on the streets of Aurora. When you end up, to use the phrasal verb, it talks about your final state or your final decision. So he's on the streets of Aurora, but they have no idea how that became his final location. How did he get there? How did he end up there? So you can use that. This is a very common phrasal verb. For example, I might say, I ended up staying home last night. This implies that my final decision or action was to stay home. But because I used ended up, it implies that I was considering other options, but I ended up staying home. So this was out of all the options I was considering, this is my final option. I ended up staying home last night. I ended up adopting a pig named Fred, which I don't think I'll end up doing, but I guess it's a possibility because I do love animals, but I don't think I can take Fred home for his forever home. Staff are not sure how he ended up on the streets of Aurora, how that became his final position. They have speculated that he may have been a backyard pet. Remember, I explained backyard already. A backyard pet that grew to be a much bigger size than expected. You're probably wondering about the verb speculate. It has the same meaning as the verb guess. When you guess an answer, for example, it means you're not 100% certain what the correct answer is, but you're just going to guess. So when you speculate, you don't know 100% what the answer is, but you're guessing. You're using the information that you have to provide an explanation, but you're not 100% certain. So they're guessing that he was a backyard pet that grew to be much bigger than expected, but they're not 100% sure if this is correct. They probably got him as a little piglet. So a baby pig is called a piglet. Baby pig, just like a baby cat is a kitten, a baby dog is a puppy. So this is a baby pig, is a piglet, a little piglet, and he just continued to grow, Miss Allen said. Nobody has claimed Fred. So this means nobody has said, Fred is my pig. If someone said, Fred is my pig, then that person claimed Fred. But unfortunately, nobody has said that. And he seems to like his new home for now, but staff are hoping to find a farm for him where he can play and be at ease. At ease, you need the preposition at. This would be another way of saying be relaxed. If you're at ease, it means you're relaxed. There's no tension. And they're looking for a farm that can be, remember the expression we learned as well, that can be his forever home. His forever home. I don't know about you, but I love animal stories. I love animals. I always tear up when I hear about animals. So let's all say in the comments, good luck, Fred. Good luck, Fred. And hopefully Fred will find his forever home. So put good luck, Fred in the comments. And that was the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish. And this time you can focus on my pronunciation. So let's do that now. Fred the pig caught after mischief rampage. After numerous complaints of mischief in the city of Aurora, a 400-pound culprit has finally been caught loitering outside a shopping center. Officials say Fred, who dodged them for several days, is always hungry and loves his belly scratches. It took about 8 people and 5 hours to capture him. They now hope to find his forever home. City officials first became aware of Fred on September 24th when they received a call about a pig that was tearing up a person's yard. But when animal officers arrived on the scene, they were not able to find him. More calls came in the next day, this time about a pig in traffic. Then another call about a pig that was ruining someone's landscaping. He was then spotted again 3 days later on September 27th in the early morning hours. This time, Fred was in a position where he could be captured, Miss Allen said. Still, it was no easy task. He just wasn't ready to give up his holiday of running around the city and eating what he wanted to eat, she said. After he was captured, staff affectionately gave him the name Fred, and he has been staying at the Aurora Animal Shelter ever since. Miss Allen said he is an unusual addition to the shelter, which more commonly houses cats and dogs. Staff are not sure how he ended up on the streets of Aurora. They have speculated that he may have been a backyard pet that grew to be a much bigger size than expected. They probably got him as a little piglet, and he just continued to grow, Miss Allen said. Nobody has claimed Fred yet, and he seems to like his new home for now, but staff are hoping to find a farm for him where he can play and be at ease. Did you enjoy learning with this short story about Fred the pig? Would you like me to review more short stories to help you build your vocabulary? If you do, then put yes, yes, yes in the comments. Put yes, yes, yes in the comments so I know you want more lessons just like this. And of course, make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And why don't you keep building your vocabulary with this lesson right now?